dire.
The situation is dire, Sakina. I mean, if you look at the capital assets of the SABC, we got a report that the last time those assets were refreshed were in 2010 for the Soccer World Cup. So you are working in the SABC with infrastructure that has reached its end of life. Without wanting to be alarmist, but you really have an SABC whose lights could go off at any minute. And that's why for us this is an urgent matter. We have said that part of what we need to do is really to just conscientize society of the problems that we are facing at the public broadcaster. For our part, as the portfolio committee, we have committed ourselves to engage with our counterparts in Parliament, the committees on finance, the committees on trade and industry, as well as sports. You'll remember that a huge component of the money that the SABC has to spend is around sports rights as well. And what we're trying to do with the bill is to say that let's look at various measures. Yes, first prize would be for the public mandate to be fully funded from the fiscus, but we understand, I think, the challenges that the National Treasury has raised in that regard. We're also calling for possibility of an introduction of a household levy, where households with television screens in this country would be expected to contribute to the SABC, but in a manner that I think increases the compliance rates. One of the challenges of the license regime is that there's really no consequence, for not complying with the need to have TV licenses. But we're also saying other broadcasters, especially the commercial broadcasters, they benefit a lot from the public service mandate of the SABC, and perhaps we should look at a broadcast or a public information levy that could be yielded in that regard. But we're also starting conversations with the minister around the possibility of looking at how do we regulate the so-called OTT, the over-the-top services, which at this point are really not contributing in any way to our sustainability within the broadcasting sector. So those are the options that we are considering, Sakina. And maybe just to make the point that we've said that the SABC bill has to be amended or perhaps even redrafted. It's a process that we're going to undertake in consultation with the executive. But we cannot wait, up to 3 years for this issue of funding to be resolved. It is an urgent crisis, and the Portfolio Committee has committed itself to work with the Minister in this regard.
And I'm glad, Ms. Diko, to hear that Parliament has a sense of just how difficult the situation is for the SABC, given its funding challenges. Because, you speak about that CAPEX budget, and I'm glad you spoke about, the last upgrades in certain instances having taken place in 2010, because the reality is, and perhaps when you do those in-local inspections that sometimes the portfolio committees undertake, is to come and understand just how difficult it is for the newsroom, as an example, where you have systems literally breaking down. We are magicians here at SABC to make sure that there's a picture beaming every day and nobody is any wiser about the actual technical difficulties that we face, Ms. Diko. You'll be amazed if you can come and spend one day here just to see how things are actually breaking down behind the scenes. But the show goes on. We make sure that it actually goes on. But speaking of, the bill, now the Minister of Communications and Digital Technology